Lindenwood head coach Jed Stugart. The Lions had their OVC home opener, loss against nationally ranked Southeast Missouri. They'll be on the road this week. They're going to go to Central Arkansas. That is Saturday afternoon, the striped field down there, the purple and gray. Coach, just some thoughts on your team, and we'll go to some questions.
Well, basically I just pulled out the paper from the week before in our team meeting and just read it over again to our team yesterday of, we have established that we and our crowds and our fans and our own team has established that we don't quit. We'll keep fighting, and that we can play with these teams. I'm still not going to surrender to this. Let's just go out and give it the best shot. We go out to expect to win, and I credit. But we had, we helped SEMO win that game in several aspects. And I don't take anything away from SEMO. They're a very talented football team. But I know there was some unrest on that sideline over there, and I know that's what's been frustrating this week. We can't get frustrated to the point of discouragement. We got to get frustrated to the point of motivation. To our common theme in one of our pillars is little things. And we have two great drives going. We have 2 turnovers deep in the red zone, in our red zone, and that's 14 points. And in that part of the game, I think one of those is to take a lead. Another one's to maybe tie or get it to. I can't remember but the reality is they were 2. And then, we get a personal foul right before half and out of field goal range, which all we want to do is get in field goal range. And then we have, and it doesn't matter what people's opinions are of that play. If you watch it on film, yeah, you wonder, but why? But at the end of the day, don't put yourself in that position. So, highly encouraged, but some frustration this week when you go watch the film and realize how many self-inflicted. And the other thing too is our struggle right now is tackling. We emphasize it. We do it in practice every day. We talked a lot yesterday about you got to want to tackle. You got to have a mindset to tackle. You and I know. You remember Jason McMillan in Northern Colorado. Kyle happens to be. Jason was a wiry little linebacker when he came in, and I told the story of Jason McMillan. That dude tackled everything, and he was smaller than the guys he was tackling, but he just loved to tackle. So I said guys like Jason McMillan kind of shoot the theory of, hey, we're not big enough than those guys right now. So, like I said, you got to have a want to. And so to wrap up this big, long opening is basically our guys are motivated. I think they're not satisfied. They're a little bit ticked off yesterday in our meetings, and not at each other. They're frustrated and realize, and so we're going to get one of these, and at least and here's the thing: we know we're going through the gauntlet of our schedule, which I wouldn't want it any other way. I mean, I think it's getting more normal for our guys now. To go into another really good football team this week, 3 in a row. It is a grind right now, but I wouldn't want it either way. I think we're growing up weekly, and and I told the guys this has been kind of fun. The other thing too, I was prepared for this as a coach. I think some of our kids, I told them about it. I said, when you're new, when you're moving up. And guys are going to come in and lick their chops, and you're going to get some baptism by fire. And there's going to be some fun banter and things like that. And I welcome it because I just keep copying and pasting and building little boards. And it's fun. We've been tabbed the little brother in the conference. So it's like, hey, that's all right. But little brothers grow up one day, and that's what I keep telling them. So it's fun, but we got to do something about it. Use that as, because until you beat people, until you compete with people, you can't expect anything else. And you can't. So, those are, that's what's fun about rivalries. That's what's fun about some of these things. And, you just got to let it keep motivating you. So we're very excited.
If somebody just looked at the final score, 49-28, that's not indicative of what you talked to. You just said you're driving. It could have been a 7-point game, and then SEMO gets an 80-some-yard touchdown. You don't want to lose by 1 point at all, let alone 20. Does that make any difference? As you said, you were right there in the game and you just made a few mistakes and the score ended up out of proportion.
No, I mean, I've said all along, even at the last drive, we're going to compete till there's zeros on the field. On the score clock. And I think there's times, we're going to let our team know, but it's not like we're just letting them know. That's the competitive nature of us as coaches. It's competitive nature of players that, that you always want to do math in your head real fast to say, okay, what are some things that can happen to pull this off? And so, you start having to take some chances. You have to pressure in some spots, and that's why it's so crucial. You can't miss just one tackle. And sometimes if you're going to pressure a play, and you're gapped out, and that means we don't have much help. So you got to do your job, because one missed tackle can turn into a really long touchdown run. And so, these are, that's why it's so crucial, number one. So, yeah, I don't really care about scores. I don't. We had a bunch of recruits in here this weekend, and sometimes you might think, well, I wonder, what are they thinking? What was encouraging, and we've got some good news this week out of it. We're encouraged in our recruiting class. We're encouraged by guys that are jumping in, and the thing that was encouraging is they saw a great atmosphere, but they saw a team that's fighting and clawing and scratch. The comments were, hey, you love them. They say the word we can see that we're fighting and how close we are. So yeah, if people look at scores and around the country and go, wow, yeah, we don't feel that way. We don't feel like, man, Lindenwood's really getting pounded. That's why we're so frustrated. I think because it's like, man, we're closer than we think. We got to stop killing ourselves in some spots. And so that's honestly where we're at. And so we're just, like I said, we're growing up more and more each week. And I'm really encouraged in the direction that we're headed.
On paper, you've played the top two teams in the OVC, the ones that have a national rank in front of their names. Is there anything you learned about how maybe good they are that you didn't know going into the season, that it takes X to compete in the OVC?
Well, I think, I think they're both. Yeah, there's no doubt. That's what I'm saying. I actually kind of glad we're starting off this way a little bit, because we've got to get a bar set as coaches, especially of coaching at all these different levels. We coaches probably know already what to expect or what a team's going to look like. I think we have enough kids on our team, that played, they've played Eastern Washington a few years ago. They played South Dakota State last year. So, kids, there's a handful of guys that know, but, I was just looking at our two, but, I've got a mess load of, freshmen and sophomores defensively that they haven't faced teams like that until a few weeks ago. And that's what's encouraging, is there's a lot of F's and S's on that depth chart right now. And that's highly encouraging. And they're, like I said, I would rather just play but I don't want to just say, hey, just these two, these are the two toughest teams, that all of a sudden the rest of the OVCs are going to be easy. That ain't going to be easy either. I mean, I know so each week we have to prepare like we're playing for, preparing for the national championship.
And numbers, I know you could look at numbers anyway. You're second in the OVC in total offense, 460 yards per game. Is that an indicator of your offense is playing that good? Is that an indicator of some other things? I'm sure there's always improvement. Just thoughts on maybe where your offense is right now.
Well, I think every coach is going to, it depends. I personally think that's what, that's why there's a little bit of this irritant in my voice a little bit, to be honest with you, Cal, because, I'm sure coaches go, well, we didn't play well. Our defense wasn't great. This guy didn't play well. I mean, I get the coach speak, because I happen to think with us, I think our offense is got the potential. We move the ball up and down the field. It's not coincidence that we moved the ball up and down the field against UT Martin. But we got in the red zone. We made mistakes in the red zone. So we got to emphasize that. We moved the ball up and down the field, Saturday. but we had 2 turnovers in the red zone. So, I'm sure guys go, well, that's, Lindenwood, maybe we played down. I mean, that's for other people we can only control what we can control. And I think that's why I'm not going to allow this team and I'm encouraged. You got to be when your fan base and your administration and people are encouraged by your play and they're saying, hey, this first year, we want to see this, or we're just excited this first year. We as coaches don't accept that. You expect to go out and play and win. That's what you do. You prepare to win, and it doesn't really matter who you play. You got to have a belief that you can win, but you got to prepare to win. And I'm highly encouraged that our football team gets that. They're paying attention to that, and our practices have been, and we're going to have another great practice this week. I can tell. They're hungry and they're frustrated with some of their own play, and they're going to correct it, and they're hungry. So I'm excited. Just go out and keep learning and growing.
One more and we'll let you go. So Central Arkansas at Transitive Property. I know they played SEMO, beat them, and then you played SEMO. So the teams all played each other. They've traditionally been very good over the last few years. So, and they just won at home, beat Austin P, who was ranked by 29. So just some more on Central Arkansas.
Well, you have to look historically, no, we've never played them and never really don't cross paths with them much, but, I know, you got to look historically and traditionally, of course, that's where, good traditional footballs play teams and programs. And that's what they are. They're very well coached. They're athletic. They're going to be confident, like you said, just coming off that win, and they're at home. And, and so our guys know that it's not like, hey, we just played our 2 tough teams in our league and it gets, no, it doesn't get easier. In fact, it gets tougher. We're back on the road against a really good opponent, and, athletic, sound, good operations. That's the thing I always look for. Me looking at all 3 phases and not just focusing on one side of the ball. I spend time looking at all 3 phases. You want to see how well the team's coached, how sound are they, all those things. And they check those boxes, and historically, like I said, they do a great job, and it's going to be another tough but fun environment. I mean, it's our kids are actually excited to get on a bus. They're kind of crazy. They actually like road trips. They like getting on the bus and go to hotels and hanging out together. And so we like it too. There's not as much stuff to mess with like home games, on the outside of everything. So we're looking for could be a good week, but it's going to be a really good football team. But I expect us to go out there and compete compete to the best of our ability and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, Coach, thanks for your time this morning. As always, best of luck at Central Arkansas, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you, man.